Hi guys, Rachael Cook, Doctor of Audiology at Applied Hearing Solutions in Phoenix, Arizona. And in today's video, I'm going to be taking some time to answer your questions. We get a lot of questions on our videos and our podcasts about hearing, hearing aids, and sound sensitivity disorders, and we're not always able to answer all of them. So I wanted to take some time to go in depth on some of your questions that you have. A question from Meaty92. Meaty asks, are there any hearing aids with location trackers in case they get lost or misplaced by dementia patients in the home to find via app, like you would with a tile keychain tracker? Please advise, and thanks for the great content. This is a great question, and the answer is yes. Many made for iPhone hearing aids have the ability to track the location of your devices. Now, the caveat here is that the app will only show you the last place in which the hearing aid and your cell phone maintained a Bluetooth connection. For this reason, this feature will not work if your hearing aids are not paired up to your cell phone. Additionally, if you decided to go on a hike and you left your phone in the car but misplaced one of your hearing aids while out on this hike, it's only going to show the last place that your hearing aids and your phone had a connection with one another, which would be back in your car. You're definitely going to want to keep your phone on you and close to you and keep that Bluetooth connection maintained between your phone and your hearing aids so that in the event of a disconnection, your phone knows the last place that they were linked together with one another. If you're not sure if your hearing aids have this feature or if they are made for iPhone devices, be sure to ask your provider. They will absolutely know if this is a feature that comes standard with your hearing aids and can show you and demonstrate how to use this feature on your own. This next question comes from David Benjamin. He asks, is it safe to use noise-canceling headphones for hearing protection? Ooh, this is a good one. The answer to that question is uncertain. The reason that I say that is that hearing protection has to go through very, very rigorous standards testing in order to be referred to as hearing protection. This testing is for safety purposes so that individuals that are using this protection know just how much they are protected against the noise that they're being exposed to, whether this is recreational, like target shooting, or if it's occupational, like for your job. Now, with noise-canceling headphones such as these are really only tested to serve as headphones and not as hearing protection. Because of that, most noise-canceling headphones do not come with a noise reduction rating. Now, a noise reduction rating, or NRR, is the decibel level that the hearing protection that you're using is going to reduce the outside sounds. And noise-canceling headphones don't come with one of these. Now, there definitely stands the potential that the use of noise-canceling headphones could result in a pretty high NRR. The problem is that they're just not testing it for this purpose. That being said, it is always going to be my recommendation that you use hearing protection that has a noise reduction rating that has been tested and verified in lab settings to actually reduce down the outside sound and protect your hearing effectively. However, it is never a bad idea to double up, especially if you're going to be exposed to loud sounds for an extended period of time. So you could always put hearing protection in and put your noise-canceling headphones right over the top. This actually leads perfectly into our next question that comes from Ohio Irishman. He asks, you said that one should be wearing their hearing aids all waking hours of the day, but what about if you work in a noisy work environment? Then how should you utilize the use of your hearing aids? Should you wear them underneath earmuffs? Well, Ohio Irishman, this is a great question. So the idea is that yes, you do want to be wearing your hearing aids nearly all waking hours during the day. This is for adaptation and adjustment to hearing and hearing treatment overall and gives you the best outcomes with hearing treatment. However, there are going to be some instances that we don't recommend the full-time use of your hearing aids, and one of those circumstances is when you work in an environment where there are dangerous loudness levels. Now, the CDC and OSHA, which stands for the Occupational Safety and Health Administration, have different permissible exposure limits, which basically just means how long can you listen to certain sounds and how loud can those certain sounds be before they become damaging to your hearing. However, if OSHA has determined that you have dangerous exposure levels at your place of work, then you will need to be wearing some sort of hearing protection while you're on the job site. Unfortunately, hearing aids do not double as hearing protection. Now, there are limiters put in place on hearing aids so that they never go above and beyond or surpass certain output limits. For the most part, these output levels are below what would be considered dangerous exposure levels. However, just because the device is not delivering unsafe loudness levels does not mean that it's actually protecting your ears from unsafe listening levels. Now, depending on the level of hearing loss that you have, you may very well be able to put earmuffs over the top of your hearing aids, and that will serve as protection from those dangerous exposure levels. But I want you to think for a second about if you've ever listened to anyone who's talking into a microphone and they suddenly get a little bit too close to the speaker, how it makes that loud squeaking noise. Well, that's called feedback, and we often get feedback from hearing aids as well when items are too close to the microphones of the devices. When this happens, it traps in sound that leaks out from the device, gets picked back up by the microphone, and circles through the device again, creating this squeaking, squealing sound that we call feedback. So again, depending on the level of hearing loss that you have, you may have more or less feedback, and you may not be able to wear something over top of your devices without getting this squeaking sound. If that's the case, many hearing aids do have mute controls that can be programmed into your devices themselves or through the use of an app on your smartphone, so you can actually mute the devices and then put your hearing protection over the top. Many times as well, patients decide to put their hearing aids into a streaming mode and listen to music instead of listening to their surroundings, put the hearing protection on top. It's just like you're having your own concert. Now, depending on what type of work you do, you may or may not be able to do that. So this is not going to be a one-size-fits-all solution, but excellent question. This next question comes from Milton Anthoy. He asks, are there providers that lock down their hearing aids so that only they can service them? Another great question, and the answer is, generally, it's not providers that are locking these hearing aids, but the companies that are dispensing these hearing aids. So yes, many hearing aids can be locked. Locked hearing aids are generally only sold at big box retailers or at franchise clinics. Some examples include Sam's Club, New Ear, and Miracle Ear. Locked hearing aids just mean that they can only be programmed by specific providers that have access codes to the programming software so that they can go in and make changes and adjustments to your hearing aid settings. But this can really make getting service for your hearing aids pretty difficult when you are locked in to only one provider or provider location. For example, we have many patients that snowbird here in Phoenix, meaning that they spend a portion of the year here and a portion of the year elsewhere at another location in the United States. If you only have access to a hearing healthcare provider at one of these locations, that means for 6 months out of the year or more, you're stuck unable to receive any services. You could also be stuck with locked hearing aids if the business that you purchased your hearing aids from ends its contract with its supplier, or if they go out of business. To avoid ending up with locked hearing aids, make sure that you ask these questions during your appointments with your hearing healthcare providers. You can come straight out and ask the question, are these hearing aids locked? You could also ask the question, if something happens to my hearing aids, where am I getting them serviced and by who? If the answer is only at select or designated locations and that other providers or other clinics cannot work on your hearing aids, you may want to reconsider purchasing through that channel. All right, guys, that is just about the amount of time that I have to answer your questions today. We always love these thought-provoking, interesting questions that you always provide us with. So many of your questions end up turning into videos or end up getting brought up on our podcast, which if you haven't tuned in yet is Wednesdays, 4 o'clock Arizona time. You can find that on Facebook Live, YouTube Live, and WTSMTV.com. However, we want to keep doing videos like these where we continue to answer your questions. So whenever you have questions about any of these topics, please drop them in the comments so that we can get back to you as soon as possible on that. If you liked this video, please be sure to give it a thumbs up and drop a comment in the comment section below letting me know so that I can keep this going. And if you haven't yet already, make sure that you subscribe to our channel so that you never miss any one of our newly released videos.